Former Vice President Joe Biden officially introduced his running mate, Kamala Harris, right? The political duo's first event took place in a gymnasium in Delaware with the two of them entering to the song Move On Up. They then took to the podiums and laid out their 2020 presidential campaign message. Here to weigh in this morning is author and GOP strategist Joy Villa. So good morning to you, Joy. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you, and thanks for joining us this morning. I want to get your overall impression of the first event and the message that they put out there.
Well, the overall impression is that they're going to say that we have a black woman on the ticket. She's going to fight for prosperity of black Americans. She's going to say, like, listen, this is the dream of young girls, black and brown girls. It's going to be a very, interracial type of thing to bring the races together. I think also she's going to try to run on her appeal as a lawyer, as a state senator. There's a lot of popularity there that she's probably going to gain in the beginning. But I think also that a lot of people haven't dived into Kamala Harris's background and what she's done as a lawyer, because she did do quite a bit of missteps. But overall, it's very positive on the trends.
Well, in referencing the history here, being the first black woman and the first woman of Indian descent to be on a major party ticket, that is inspiring for young women who are looking up at this saying, I can aspire to be that.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely inspiring, even though her policies may not be in line with a lot of what America wants right now. Being a black woman on the ticket for VP, being an Indian woman, is historic. It's something that the president was sent by the President Obama, being the first black president.
Yeah.
Now, is that enough, though, to win voters? Is it enough to just simply be the color that people want to see, a female in the lead? Time will tell, because it may not be enough to sway voters, especially this late in the game.
Yeah, on the issues right now, Senator Harris made it perfectly clear, though, that she is holding the president accountable for things like the economy, handling of the pandemic. She went on to say the president's mismanagement of the pandemic has plunged us into the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. 165,000 people, as you know, have lost their lives. Really, how will the president be able to go against that argument?
Well, it's simple, because even though this is true, that this is the worst, we haven't been able to have history show that this pandemic was going to happen. This is something that came out of left field. But any president in this particular situation, that's an easy low blow to say the president's mishandling this, this pandemic. It's easy to go into fear and sort of scare the public. What I want to see from Kamala is, what is she going to do as an attorney, because she has failed many cases before. She has, not upheld. She wants to repeal Proposition 209, which is protecting race-based or sexual orientation-based discrimination. So she's on that bill. That worries me. Her pro-death penalty stance in the past has worried me. Her lack of being able to support black and brown people, on many cases where they've been jailed for long terms. And she sort of laughed when the interviewers asked her if she was going to repeal many cases.
Well, I don't know. I just want to push back a little bit on the low blow comment about the pandemic, because when you say 165,000 people have lost their lives, I don't know if that can be seen as a low blow. And she seems to go after the targeted aspects of coronavirus, which is the biggest issue right now. One of the biggest issues that this country is facing. The failure to take the virus seriously by the president is what she called him out for. Failure to get testing up and running in a quick manner, and the complete chaos right now on how to open schools. And I just am curious your take on if those were low blows when you look at this as the large picture the country is facing.
Well, it's definitely a big picture, but just because it's a big picture, and yes, we mourn the deaths of any Americans in this country, but it is easy to point out, there's deaths, so thereby it's the president's fault, which we know it's not the president's fault entirely. Many of these deaths are from people who unfortunately were exposed to the virus early on. There's also many people who've survived. America also has the most testing kits in the world. There's also many, cases. I live in Los Angeles, so the cases have gone up, but the deaths have gone down here in Los Angeles. So we also see that it has a 99% 9.5% survival rate. So yes, this is something to take seriously. I do believe the president has been talking about it. He has been taking it seriously. Now, as far as Miss Harris, I'd like to see what she takes seriously. If she is in word only, if she's just a very attractive face, right? It's very attractive to have a Black Indian female candidate, or is she going to back up what, her smile? She seemed to be very happy up there, but I want to see what are her morals, what's her integrity, what's her voting record as far as, Joe Biden. She slammed him a lot, and she seems to have done a complete 180. Instead of saying he's a racist, she's now willing to run with him. So I want to see what her campaign is going to look like.
She addressed some of those comments yesterday in her speech, but she also talked about what concerned her, which were the millions of people out of work, millions who cannot go to school, a crisis of poverty and homelessness, all things that she addressed. But you're referencing things about her appearance and her smile and her demeanor in this speech. And I'm wondering, as a woman, if that's something that shouldn't be focused on heading into an election. Women running for office are often scrutinized and sometimes harsher way than men based on their appearance, but you're referencing her smile. So do you find that women are more harshly criticized while campaigning?
Yeah, I would reference a smile for anyone, male or female. I'm opposed to appearance-based, where you're going to attack someone on their appearance. Being a woman in politics, I get attacked all the time. You're either too sexy, not sexy enough, you don't look the way I want. Those things can be very hurtful when you're a female, because you're thinking, well, I have nothing, I can't get it right? If you're not. But the fact that she was smiling shows she was happy. Now, that is not an attack. I would say that about anyone, to see that their demeanor. But when I talk about attacks, she will face attacks. Unfortunately, being on the right, being a Republican, I've already seen some attacks where they're saying, they're calling her derogatory terms. They're, and I don't want to see that, because her track record is enough that you can look at. If you disagree with her politics, which I do, those are enough.
What do you think then?
You don't take it to a low sort of debased thing where you're going to look at someone's looks.
Yeah, I hear you. So I'm just curious. I'm curious your take then on the President Trump's comments, where he came out and called her mean and nasty. And so I'm wondering if there's a place for that kind of rhetoric in this kind of election.
I think mean and nasty is not necessarily an attack on a woman. He's called many people mean and nasty. He said that about men. He said it about women. I don't always agree with what the president says, but that's very tame. What I'm talking about is attacking somebody for their sexuality or lack thereof, their looks, absolutely attacking them as a female, things that I can't say on the air that I faced personally. I go away from that, especially being a Black woman. There are going to be attacks that she's going to have to stand up. She's going to have to stand up and say, why did in 2015 she opposed a bill requiring her office to investigate shootings involved in race-related incidents? Why she opposed body cams for officers? Why is she suddenly Black Lives Matter when in 2015 she was not? So these are questions that are going to come up. I think right now people are very glamored by her. I think not because she's just an absolute, she grabbed the stage, but also because she is a person of color. So she's going to have to be held accountable, though.
Understood. There is history here. Joy, I appreciate your time this morning. We are out of time, but I appreciate you coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.